Hi all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Monday, August 12th, 2019, and you're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. We got a great entire week for you. Our topic today is Captured 3D Training Week. And we're going to give you an overview today. Our guest is Stephen. Hey, Stephen.
Hey.
Good to see you. Stephen Kunis is the co-founder and Chief Operating Officer of Foria. That's the parent company for Captured. And we thought we'd just jump in first, do a demo so you can kind of get an overview of what Captured is about, not from the photographer's perspective, but from the potential buyer of a listing. Stephen, could you jump in and do that for us? And then we'll talk a little bit more about what Captured is.
Absolutely. I'll just share my screen here. Dan, let me know when you can see it.
Okay. And I see it.
Beautiful. So like Dan said, we're just going to jump straight into a few examples here. These are some of the deliverables that we provide as to the final customer, whether that's the real estate agent or whoever is purchasing the Matterport tour. So these are a few of the different skins. I'll start with the standard skin here. As that loads up. So as you can see here, the main difference is we've got the branding bar at the top of the column here and the customer's logo. And this is also linked back to their website. So if I was to click this, it would take us to their website as well. It's very good for SEO purposes. In the left-hand corner, you'll see that we've actually got a menu bar as well, a navigation menu, which holds the 3D tour and any additional content. This one's just our standard branding bar. So all we've got here is the map. So I can open up the map and see exactly where this property is. I'll just jump to the next one, unless you had any questions on that one, Dan?
No, not yet.
So I'm just moving something out of the way here. So this one here, I'm just going to make sure that's on mute. You can see here that on this property, there's a video playing in the bottom right-hand corner. We call this a mini video. This will play as I'm moving through the space, and it will continue to play. So it's a really nice way to showcase an introduction to the video. If I took it off mute, which there's obviously the music playing in the background there as well. The key difference with this virtual tour skin here, it's got the measurement tool embedded in it as well. So if I was to click on this, I can easily measure certain walls. I've currently got it in meters, but I can put it into feet for you as well to make a little bit more sense for the US. And I can even link them up just by pressing Shift. It will link up all of my measurements just like that. The other feature of this skin that we've got here in the navigation menu, we've created a hot links to all the key features within the property. So for instance, if I wanted to go into the bathroom, it's just using deep links from the Matterport links to actually take us into those various locations. So very similar to the bar down the bottom, but just bringing it through for that navigation bar. Perfect. The next one we've got here is a multiple tour in one URL. So this was done of the State Library here in Victoria, down here in Melbourne where I am. And you'll see when I click the navigation menu, I've got different 3D tours all lined up within this space. So I can go to various different rooms. I'll also jump into the reading room. Or to the... Into that beautiful space. Again, you can see that the measurement tool is present in this one and the logo is all linked back correctly. So the key part here is you can have as many 3D tours listed in the sidebar as possible. For real estate, this works really well when you've got two properties in the same on the same block, or if you're doing multiple units within the same establishment. And the last one here is just a brief variation on the branding. So you can see how we can do an overlap branding on the top here. So the longer that your branding is in terms of the length, it can actually overlap and come across onto the 3D tour itself. Again, just a nice little neat feature that you can add on. These were the top branding bars. We also provide that on the bottom side. And the key feature that I'm going to show here, just before I open it up, because it is going to automatically play, is what we call a pre-roll video. So a video will play before the 3D tour starts. I won't play the entire video because it is quite long, but you'll see how it works. The video plays on top, and I'll make sure that's on mute as well, which it is. Fantastic. So we developed this feature back a long time ago when Matterport used to take a while to load. So we used to play videos while Matterport was loading in the background and then jump into the 3D tour. Obviously, it's not a lot less relevant these days with quick load features and a whole bunch of other fantastic improvements by Matterport, but it is nonetheless still a fantastic feature. So I'll quickly just close that video. You can close it at any time. And into the 3D tour that we go. And again, this branding bar is being placed on the bottom. It's a user preference side of things. The measurement tool is still present, and you've got the key features in the sidebar as well. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. And the last one's just a variation of the top bar at the bottom with the mini video in the bottom right-hand corner. So as you move through the property, you're just getting information around the property in itself. It's quite a nice video that overlays onto the top of this one the customers put together. And again, measurement tools present, so we can see if we can fit our fridge into the cavity that's available. And also hot link to any of the key areas within the space. And the video overlay will continue to play whilst I'm navigating through that as well. And the last one here is the Mls Approved. So having no branding on the space at all. So it looks very similar to your Matterport standard tour, but we have also included the burger menu. So you can still include various 3D tours on the left-hand side there. So there's still no branding on the side, but you can still jump to different 3D tours within the space. And there you go, they're the virtual tours. Would you like me to jump into the one-page website, Stan?
Yes, please.
So as part of what we deliver back to the customer, because we're creating the virtual tour and in a number of cases, additional assets such as floor plans and photos, we're able to develop these into quite simple one-page websites across different industries. Wherever this content's either generated by us or the user themselves, it can be templated into a beautiful one-page website just like this one. So in this instance here, this is a real estate example here. So it was one of the properties that I was showing before with the virtual tour. Up front here, we have the hero photos. These have been extracted from Matterport, and a few of them have had retouching added to them, and we'll go through that in a moment as well. The key property information, which is the address, the bedrooms, bathrooms, car, and the price on which it's being sold for. As I scroll down, we've got the floor plan of the property, property information, and the map. And then you can see here at the bottom, as you scroll down, the contact bar kicks in. So this is the real estate agent's contact details, which you can call or email at any time. As I continue to scroll down, the 3D tour is present and available. And you can see that the one-page website, the video overlay is already playing down here as I can walk through the space. You can do a few different variations on this one page as well. You can switch the 3D tour with the photos. So you can have the 3D tour as your hero at the top and your photos at the bottom, or whichever way you'd like. And again, the measurement tool and everything else is still linked back. So if I click on any of these, it's going to take us to the customer's website. And as with the other ones, we've got the menu bar in the left-hand side with the map included. So if I jump into the next variation, which is the industrial one-page website, this one has a little bit more functionality around what's actually available in the page itself. Make sure it's on mute. So with this one, we're starting at the 3D tour at the top. This is an insurance example for dilapidation, but they can be working across any industry, obviously. You've got your job ID and a few other things up the top here. As I scroll down, we have the same lockup, which is the text, the floor plan, and the map. And as we scroll down, the slight variation here is we've got embedded video. On the left-hand side, you can include reports for whatever you'd like. These are PDF reports that are easily downloadable from the front end. And then also URL links. So these can be links and downloads to a bunch of different websites. So these are just damages for the insurance space that they've highlighted in this instance. So they're just linking to different pages, and they can link to anywhere. If this was a real estate example, you could be linking to the suburb profile or additional information about the realtor or the agency itself. And then the photo is down here at the bottom as well. So this is an insurance example, more for the dilapidation side of things. And then the last one-page website example I've got here for today is for architectural engineering and construction. So it's a similar format to the previous one that I've just shown you. This one here has different construction points in time. So it's got a timeline within the 3D tour, so you can see as the progress comes about. Again, you've got the job ID and the date in which it was scanned here. The floor plans and this lockup always stays the same. And then as we come down, we've got that key video of the BIM integration on that site, a report. And then with this page, what they've done is they've linked to downloadable floor plans, the photos, the matter pack, an OBJ video, and then the floor plans as a DWG and Revit file. So with engineering, obviously these are pretty necessary assets, and this is all hosted within the one-page website, available for any consumer to be able to access. And then obviously the photos as well. And as it's been present on all of them, the call and email button has been available across the board. And that'd be the three types of templates.
Before you move off of that one, Stephen, you mentioned on those additional links that it's hosted within the one-page website. I think it's actually links, and it's pointing to floor plans are being hosted where?
So yeah, that's correct. So it's wherever the URL links are being hosted originally. With these ones, they are actually being hosted on Captured. So I've got the data stored on Captured, and then I'm using that URL to download it.
But typically, a photographer using the Captured platform, wherever they stored their photos, their matter pack, their object file, their DWG RVT files. So that might be a combination of Flickr, SmugMug, Dropbox.
Yeah, exactly right. So wherever they're located.
Okay, great. Could you take us back to the real estate single property website?
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you for the demo. I think we have a lot to cover this week talking about Captured, and I think seeing the front end, what the consumer sees, is really tremendously helpful. I thought maybe I would point out some things or ask some questions here. So up at the top, and so you've been talking about skins, but I think there may be some different words to describe that. An overlay, a skin.
Yeah. So the overlay refers to the actual branding bar and all the additional content that you see around the 3D tour. I was using the word skin just because I was doing a bit of research, and it's more prevalent, I guess, in the US, the word skin. Okay,
so whether you're using the word skin or overlay, literally it's the Matterport 3D tour with an overlay on top of it or skinned on top of it.
That's correct.
Okay, cool. So I'd just like to stay on this page for a second. You could stay right there just for a moment. And you went a little bit fast on the demo, which was terrific. But I think I'd just like to point out that logo in the top right corner, that's actually can be linked to that agent website. Yep. Okay, great. And then if we go off to the left,
this.
Yep. So here, where you have the virtual tour, you can either not include deep links, or you can include deep links that go to specific locations within a tour, or it could be multiple tours, but from the user standpoint, it actually just seems like one tour, even though it might have been created as two or more Matterport tours.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's part of the user experience that we've created there. The user doesn't necessarily need to know whether they're in a different tour or not. It's all about the seamlessness.
Okay, cool. If you scroll down a little bit, produced by.
Yeah, so
you could scroll down. I think there's some other things perhaps under that. Yep. Okay. So we have the map. So that's simply adding a link to Google Maps.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. I think it's nice to see that you have a place to credit the photographer.
Yes, down here, which is something that I skimmed over before. So yes, it does.
That logo is also linked. So as a photographer, I can link back to my website. In this case, you've linked back to the Captured website, but that literally could be the photographer's logo pointing to the photographer's website.
That's correct. And it's a key point to make there, Dan, because we're trying to provide presence, digital presence for the photographers in this essence. Obviously, the end client's going to want to see their logo as the main part on the virtual tour, but giving some coverage to the photographer and some ownership to the virtual tour is something that we're really passionate about. It does say Captured here because we were the creators of this tour, but obviously every photographer would have their own logo there.
And still another branding opportunity for the agent or broker in that bottom left corner. And that logo is also linked as well. So the photographer can indicate where that where the client's website is. That's cool. Now, if you go over to the bottom right, where you have a picture of the agent, so that's Alex Hitch in this example. I would say that's probably not a great picture of Alex, but you could literally put a headshot in there that would look super nice. On the call, so if you tap on call, so that's going to call up the phone number. And if you tap on email, that's the lead generation window. Yep, it's cool. And then if you could close that window, if you could go back to the top of the, if you actually go back to the map there, Stephen, I thought one of the things that was really cool about your map was, I think actually two things. One, not only did Capture create that 2D schematic floor plan, but you also created a site plan.
That's correct.
So that's if that's something that I think many Matterport service providers may not have seen before, and it's probably helpful. I know we're still on the front end, but just to kind of tease a little bit, when I've submitted a Matterport 3D tour to Captured, I was kind of scratching my head wondering what I would need to provide to create that site plan. And it turns out I didn't need to provide anything else. So I guess somehow magically you figured out how that property from the address that I provided.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So there's a number of different techniques that we use, and we will be going through this later in the week to be able to create these plans. And it's something that we think is a really good differentiator compared to just your standard site plan, your standard floor plan. So it gives you a really good idea of how the property sits on the block that it's on. So we use a number of different techniques, including satellite images and also 360 images taken by the photographer itself to map out the actual property. And as you can see here, it can be finished up quite nicely. And this is just one of our many designs that we can provide.
Yeah, I'd just like to point that out because, again, I was thinking, oh gosh, I like what that site plan looks like on the right, but, do I have to sketch that out? Do I need to provide a link to something? And the answer is, it's just magic. I just uploaded the Matterport tour, checked the box for 2D schematic floor plans and site plan, and somehow magically that site plan came back as well. and it may be a little bit small on WGAN TV, but you have a little indicator of north, which I thought was really helpful. I know that my wife gardens, and the first thing that she would want to know, looking at a potential house to buy, is where is the light for the flowers. So that immediately kind of clues us in about whether we're going to have light in the afternoon or in the morning outside, and as well as even in the living room or other rooms. Where's the sun? So I thought that was just a tremendous addition. Incidentally, there seems to be some kind of magnifying lens over what we're doing. Can you explain your magnifying lens?
Yeah, this was just a little bit of an add-on feature that one of our developers put in before we deployed, and we all kind of liked it, so we left it in there because obviously there's the option to click on the floor plan and make it bigger, so you can see it in full length. But in some cases, you might just want to see what the actual size of that room is. And so it allows you to jump in and actually just see that really quickly without having to click and open another window. I do note that this floor plan is in metric, but obviously we do provide them in imperial as well.
Yeah, and I love that magnifying lens. It's over the floor plan and site plan. So I thought that was like, oh, well, this is really a lot of value add. We'll talk about that in another day on the features that you all captured can provide floor plans and site plans. And again, I just thought that was kind of magic. Now, right there, if you take the magnifying lens back to the disclaimer, there's there's square meters that's there someplace. Yep, stop on that. Where did that number come from?
So that's the addition of all the spaces within the property in itself. So each room has its own measurement side, and then we're calculating the complete volume of the house and giving you the total square meterage. It's only the interior space of the property. And in most cases, it's only what's been scanned. In some instances, we can estimate the garage if it hasn't been scanned based on the other walls in the house. But it will usually be what's been visualized by the photographer.
And I'm asking because I'm wondering if there are Matterport service providers that are using that number for billing clients, for those that are billed based on either square foot or square meters.
Yeah, it would definitely be valuable for that purpose. It's from the inside wall.
And inside wall, and is that heated square feet? So in the United States, for example, we wouldn't include the garage in the square footage unless it was heated space.
No, so it doesn't include the garage. As you can see here, the garage doesn't have measurements on it, so it hasn't been included in the overall estimate, but we would add the garage under request from the photographer. And all that is adding a note when you're ordering the floor plan to please include the garage in the overall space. Okay,
so I'm literally tingling looking at this, Stephen, because you went over it a little bit fast, but I would say this is like so incredibly valuable for, particularly in the United States, where Matterport service providers often charge a client based on square footage, that simply by ordering a floor plan and a site plan from Captured, you're providing not only that value add for the site plan, you're providing the value add of doing the calculation on heated space, which is bingo. Photographer now can bill based on that number calculated by a third party, and you have the appropriate disclaimer in just below that floor plan as well. That you know, essentially, you've done your best to estimate the space, but please don't make every last decision based on that. That's the best estimate possible, based on going from Matterport to a schematic floor plan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I just want to point that out. I thought that, whoa, I could bill based on that number, and I don't need to go through heroic efforts of trying to calculate the square footage some other way. So, correct. If you could scroll up to the top of the tour. And now at the top of the tour, we're looking at photos. I know you referred that to as hero photos. So I think I just want to point out here that, as you mentioned, the photographer has a choice of either having the Matterport 3D tour at the top or having the 2D images, the images that we're looking at now at the top. So the Matterport 3D tour can be at the bottom or it can be at the top.
That's correct.
Okay, cool. I thought that was cool. Now these, and then I would also, I think, just point out here is that these 2D images can, at the photographer's choice, either be the snapshots from the Matterport space or photos that the photographer has uploaded to the the captured content management system.
Yeah, or a combination of both. For instance, the interiors could be from the Matterport extraction, and then let's say a couple hero shots from a DSLR at the front of the house, or any variation of that.
Okay, and again, I know we're going to talk about this later in the week, but I think I just like to point out on the photos that are going by is that Captured offers photo editing within the content management system.
That's correct. One-click order processing that we can go through in a moment if you'd like a few different examples of how that really freshens up the photos.
Okay, so and again, a Matterport service provider, a Matterporter could either have photos retouched that were the snapshots or from the DSLR, or both. So again, it's me personally, I found that process super easy, just to be able to click, here are all the images I want edited. I live in Atlanta. I went to bed, and when I woke up the next morning, my pictures were all edited, and now those were the pictures that were used in the one-page website. So I thought that was pretty cool. In the We Get Around Network forum, I posted some pictures using a Matterport Pro 1, Matterport Pro 1 3D camera, edited by Captured, and I thought the before and after was really super amazing. Client loved the pictures.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, and normally we wouldn't in Atlanta, we wouldn't use Captured Matterport Pro 1 photos for a client, but the client was referred to us and after the fact said, oh, by the way, can I get the pictures from the tour? My colleague got them in another market. Could you do that for us? And while that was not part of the original assignment, they weren't shot with the DSLR. We thought they just wanted the 3D tour. We were able to deliver the tour by having the pictures edited before we turned them over to the client, and they look super. If you could go back, even on this one, if you could go to the measurement tool. Yeah, you went pretty fast on this, but again, I wanted to point this out. If you could maybe just measure the door frame or something. I found this tool, I mean, you can see it is super easy to use. It's on the front end, and this tool is way easier to use than trying to do measurements on the back end of Matterport in Matterport Workshop 3.0, which you can do measurements. But I think the magic here is that the person who's looking at the tour, the user of the tour, can do their own measurements. And I found that amazing. And I think if we wanted to save these, we could do a screen capture, and we could actually upload those images to the captured content management system and display those if there was some critical reason to show measurements.
Yep.
So yet another use out of that. If you could go to the example that has the video in it, one of the examples that has video.
In the 3D tour or the one-page website?
Let's go to the one in the 3D tour. In either way, which is fine. So can we do more than one video or just one video?
At this point in time, it's only one video. Okay. If you wanted to have additional videos on the one-page website, you can actually put them in the photo reel. So at the top here, we have got another video sitting up here as well.
So again, you went a little bit fast for me on that one, Stephen, but that is way cool. Is we're now looking at what we would normally say are the hero images or slideshow of the still pictures. One of those still pictures happens to be a photo, and that photo is playable. So that's a way to incorporate a second video or the same video played in a different way.
It could be any other video or the same video, depending on how you would like to present the property.
Okay.
This instance, it's the same video, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay. And how many videos can be in that portion in the?
So you can have one video in your photo reel at the top, and you can have one video in the 3D tour at the bottom.
Okay, great. And in the video that's embedded in the Matterport 3D tour, I say embedded, but it's really an overlay. That's overlaid. I recall that there's two ways to get that video into the tour. One is to use either Vimeo or YouTube link.
Mm-hmm.
And that the second was to actually upload the MP4 file.
Yeah, that's correct. So if you have the raw file, you can upload that straight into the captured management system, or just link it through your YouTube or Vimeo account.
Okay. And I know like we're doing a captured training week every day this week. I know in day, I think in day 5, we're going to talk about analytics. But just to touch on for a moment, as we've been clicking on the call button and on the email button, Captured is actually tracking that there's been a click on the email, a click on the call. If the lead is completed, then that information I want to say is databased in the content management system. You've been tracking the views is a heat map. Maybe, I don't know if we want to go too much detail on that at the moment, but
example, if you'd like.
Okay. Sure.
So this is your general analytics. Obviously, it's gone live on this day here, and it will show you the number of views per day in this top graph. So you've got your total views across the 3 main web pages that it's been linked to, your total users, and then also the average time in the space, all categorized per website that it's been placed on. And then as you scroll down, as you mentioned correctly, Dan, we do provide a heat map. This is another SDK feature that we've been developing in conjunction with Matterport. And the red circle shows 100% of users have seen this suite, and the blue means less than 10%. So you can see here on this red dot in the middle, obviously that's where the starting space is. So everyone lands on that space and then moves throughout the property. And you can see they're kind of tracking in different spaces and in different lines. And then as you mentioned correctly, we're tracking the calls, emails, and leads button and how many clicks we get. And at the bottom here, showing the referrals. So
today is day 1. When we get to day 5, we're actually going to do a deeper dive into analytics because there's so much to cover in analytics itself. And I think the last thing that I wanted to just maybe touch on before we kind of jump to the next part is if we go back to a Matterport 3D tour, that any of the parameters that Matterport offers when we get to your content management system that can be toggled on and off. So if you want to display help the first time someone looks at this tour, you can enable that. If you want to display a highlights reel so that it's up, you can. If you want to turn off highlights reel. So for any of our Matterport service providers that are heavy users of parameters, the captured content management system makes it super easy to implement parameters just by toggling parameters on and off without having to know even what a parameter is. But that's another day. So anyway, Stephen, I thank you for taking us through the demo of the captured skin or the captured overlay, including the one-page website, branded, unbranded. I think that's a good starting point to really now talk about, well, okay, we've looked at the skin of captured. Can exactly what is captured? What is what? Tell us about captured.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So we started developing Captured almost 4 years ago, and it came from a need from ourselves. So we bought our first Matterport camera back in 2014. It was a Pro 1, and back then the functionality didn't even have the 360 sweeps. It was just the OBJ that we were delivering. And it quickly progressed, and we ended up having 12 cameras across Australia in a matter of no time. And we had this massive problem managing all of these technicians. We had spreadsheets, drop boxes, different partners for different services, whether it be branding, floor plans. And it just became too cumbersome. And we had some really good technical engineers with us at that time. So we thought we would start developing our own platform for ourselves to start managing this. At the same time, we're fortunate enough to land a large deal with Australia's largest property portal to scan 500 homes in 3 months. We said yes at the opportunity and then kind of walked out of the meeting, scratching our heads on how we're going to be doing it. And luckily, we had Captured just about ready to launch. So we used Captured for the booking management, notifications, automation of processing, delivery of content and creation of content through that process. And at the end of it, we realized we had a really fantastic tool. And at this time as well, Matterport actually came to us and asked us if we would like to be the distributor down here in Australia. So we stopped providing services at this point in time and saw it as a really good opportunity to really start diving into the Captured platform a lot more. And that's when we started opening it up to the wider market. So it was created from a need from ourselves, but now we're kind of developing it based on the features and requests from our customers. But at the end of the day, it's knowing that we can create more from what we're doing and having that digital presence for ourselves.
Yeah, that's so terrific that you, thank heavens you had this awesome problem that you had to solve for yourselves, and then to realize after you've solved the problem for yourself that there's an opportunity to offer this solution to other Matterport pros.
Yeah, exactly right.
So what solution is that? How do you even describe what Captured is?
We like to think of ourselves as the back end of your photography company or Matterport service providing company. Whether you're a one-man or woman team or a team of 100, us being able to be that back end and almost like your outsourced partner, it allows you to portray a much larger organization when you're going towards these companies. So you can essentially concentrate on your BD and creating your content and allow us to do all of the back end. And before you know it, you're delivering content in no time.
So let's see if we can break that down a little bit. Or do you have more that you want to describe before I start asking you some questions?
No, please ask away.
So, because I'm always challenged. I think when there are super powerful tools that do so much, it sometimes can be really hard to actually describe what that tool is. So in some ways, this is a content management system. So you have a Matterport 3D tour. Maybe you take us through it. If I say that this is a content management system, what content is the Captured content management system managing?
Sure. So it's all of the content that's created from your Matterport tour, or more directly, anything that you're going to be delivering to your customer. So you can upload or create floor plans, photos, videos, all through the system itself. And then it's all stored against that property ID with all the client information and the booking details. That's also where all the analytics and everything is stored. So every unique property has all of the content associated to it, along with the analytics and all the management sides. So if at any point in time you need to go back to check anything, it's all stored in one location.
When I think about this content management system, I think even that is not fully describing all the different things that you do. That's the content. At a high level, I think I count something like 5 or 7 different things that this Captured Swiss Army knife actually does for a Matterport Pro. At a high level, do you want to check the boxes of what those things are in your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So the things that we've gone through today from the front end, so the virtual tour overlay, and that includes all of the branding, the measurement tools, the sidebars, the maps. The second part would be the one-page website, so bringing all your content together in a number of different templates. We produce floor plans, customized floor plan templates. We have a number of different designs on our platform, or you could upload your own design that we can replicate for you. We do photo retouching. So taking the images, whether they're out of the Matterport 3D tour or your own uploaded photos, and bringing out the colors and brightness in those photos and doing color correction. We also provide the content management side. There's a full booking system integrated, and we'll talk about that later in the week in terms of managing your customers, notifications, and also delivering of all the content. And then the last part there would be the analytics and lead generation. So tracking all of the analytics, which we just touched on quite quickly, but also being a lead generation tool for your end user.
I think that's crazy exciting. So you talked about perhaps the problem or challenge of success, getting an order for 500 Matterport tours, not only being able to complete that in 3 months, but to do it with multiple Matterport pros. So if you're running 10 cameras, that seems problematic in itself. I know that we're going to talk about booking and scheduling on another day, but maybe if you could just give us, Stephen, an overview of booking and scheduling.
Yeah, definitely. And this is something that we're really excited about. So this is where the whole problem and idea started for. So we originally built the whole system around the booking and scheduling. It's now been decoupled, so you can do anything you'd like. But you essentially have your customers and clients stored within the system. At a few different clicks, it automatically sends a notification to your realtor, the technician who's responsible, and to yourself. The key part there is the amount of times that we got to the property and everyone forgot that we're coming, and then we spent the first half an hour cleaning the house with the owner, trying to overcome those problems. So having those notifications 24 hours before the actual property is ready to be scanned, and then automated delivery at the end. So at a click of a button, you can package up all of the content that's been created and deliver it to yourself, your customers, and the technician as well.
Cool.
And we're really excited. Sorry, just a quick one on that, Dan, as well. We're really excited, which we'll be going through later in the week, but we've just gone into beta with our new scheduling tool. So it actually syncs up your calendar. So you'll be able to provide a URL to your end customers for them to select an available time that works for you or your technician to come out to your property. So it's even making it simpler for you to get work.
Yeah, that's awesome. Look forward to seeing that. So I think that's the first time that is that perhaps the first time you've publicly announced that new feature?
Yes, it is.
Cool. And so we'll get a demo of that, and that's coming soon.
Yep, absolutely. It's in beta right now.
Beta. So even before that piece of it, it's still pretty an amazing scheduling booking, because you have a master calendar, be able to see what your availability is, not even with that link going back to it, but for scheduling purposes, to be able to see, oh, I'm available, or I have multiple pros. What's the availability of my other pros, to be able to send out a notification. The photographer is accepting, I presume what's happening, the photographer is accepting that they're essentially confirming they're available at that date and time and place to scan, even before that notification goes to the client. That's correct. So, I guess is, if you're only one, you kind of know your schedule. But certainly when we added a second pro, it was constantly, how do you keep coordinating schedules and availability? And essentially this way you can keep the calendar up to date, but you also don't have to reach out and say, hey, I just want to double check, we got a job, are you available? No, it's just that email. I mean, that's really what a content management system is doing here, is sending a notification to the photographer to essentially accept that booking, and then to be able to then notify the client for them to acknowledge the details of that booking, and then importantly be able to send out reminders. So we're not manually sending out reminders to the client. It's all built into the content management system to let people know. So we'll cover that in greater detail later in the week. That's in part 4 of part 5. That'll be on Thursday of this week. So I think that's cool. You went through a list at a high level of what Capture does. And as I mentioned, it's so hard sometimes to describe what you do because there's so many things that Capture does. I think one of the things you may have left out was the post-production, which I think is this huge thing. Can you speak to post-production?
Yes, I did leave out post-production, and thank you for reminding me, Dan. So a big part of the time-consuming factors when you're creating a virtual tour is once it comes back from Matterport, going through, creating the highlight reel, turning off unnecessary sweeps, and getting it to the point where you're ready to deliver it to a customer. This can take anywhere between 15 to half an hour, depending on how big the property is in some cases. So we have a dedicated post-production team, and they've been working with us for almost 4 years since we started this platform as well. So they are very good at what they do in finding the exact right corners to take the photos from, creating the necessary highlight reels, and also bringing that content back into Captured for itself. So it's taking out that need for you or any provider to actually go in there and work within the workshop. So the key idea is, and you mentioned it before, Dan, is let's say you've scanned a couple properties throughout the day, you go home and upload it. And in the morning when you wake up, all of your content is ready to deliver to your customer. That's the post-production completed, photos extracted, the floor plan developed, and the one-page website designed and ready to go. So it's making that really ease of use.
Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about that more and ask you some questions about it. But I just want to go back to the highlights reel for a moment. So for a Matterport service provider that is presently creating snapshots, presently creating a highlights reel, hopefully hiding scans that are extraneous to walking around, Capture does all 3 of those.
That's correct.
So in the United States, if I finish my day and I upload my Matterport tour to the Captured content management system, essentially, typically, while I'm sleeping, Captured is taking snapshots, creating a highlights reel, hiding scans that are unnecessary. If I've elected that I'd like to have floor plans and a site plan, that's being created. If I want photos edited, image edited from the DSLR photos that I've uploaded to the content management system, I can opt to get those edited. If I would like the snapshots edited while I'm sleeping, I haven't seen the pictures yet, but I can opt in to say, and please edit those pictures. I've scheduled the tour with the other photographers or myself. I've scheduled it with the client. I've put in the content management system, the info one time that is in the property information description. So if the agent has told me it's 5 bedrooms, 4 bath, 2-car garage, it's listing for $575,000, I'm essentially can confirm that information back to the client at the time of the booking, or I can add it at a later date. I can put notes in it for the photographer to say, okay, the keys under the mat, or the homeowner will meet you there, or the agent will meet you there, whatever the appropriate direction. And that the one-page website with all these digital assets, the Matterport 3D tour, floor plans, photo, video, property description, when I wake up in the morning, typically in the United States, it's going to be ready for me.
Yeah, ready for you to approve. And it's not just the United States, that's actually global. So recently we've created a 24-hour support team. So that same effort will happen to anyone around the world. And the other key part there is, because we've come from the photographer background, we understand that everyone's needs are slightly different. So I might want to start my tour at the front door, but someone else might want to start it at the key location within the property. So we allow our customers to provide us with the information how they want their tours represented. So it's not a one size fits all. We'll speak to you about how you like your properties to be captured and represented, and that's stored against your customer account. And you can have that for various different accounts. So some clients might want to start at the front door and some might not. And we can create that all for you with no fuss.
Awesome. So I wake up in the morning, it's all ready. So what am I going to do with all this free time that I have now?
Well, hopefully spend some more time with your family, something that I'd like to start doing a little bit more of, but also work on BD. I think with most people within this Matterport industry, they can agree that a big part of it is sales, relationships, and getting the new clients. And that's a big portion of actually running this business and being successful as a Matterport service provider. And hopefully this will alleviate doing all the unnecessary back-end tasks, which allow you to create more opportunities in the future and become more successful.
You know, I think, Stephen, one of the things that struck me on your website, maybe if you want to call it up while we're chatting on this, just so people can get an orientation of your captured site, front page of your of captured. The more you become successful with Matterport, the more difficult it is to actually manage all the tasks that are involved in running a Matterport service provider business. So that seems to me to be the big benefit of engaging Captured, whether you think of it as a content management system or a virtual assistant or this personal concierge service that just kind of does this overnight for you. I just love that, you know, if you want to be able to spend more time developing business, more time scanning, or more time with your friends and family, then you need to outsource. And here is a platform that is quite affordable for as much as you want to do all this, either everything or most of it in the background while you're sleeping. So I think that's pretty cool. Is there something you want to maybe just give an orientation, just maybe an overview of the Captured3D website?
Yeah, so it's a day of firsts for us today, Dan, because we've just released our new website as well. So you and your viewers are probably some of the first few people to see the new updated website. So I thought I'd quickly run you through the space in itself. So everything that we spoke about today is currently on here. So we've got the virtual tour overlay, and it's just showcasing the different spaces there. The floor plans and site plans, and you'll see that there's a number of different designs coming through in a bit. The one-page websites, which we've discussed today, and that was the exact one that we're showing. The post-production, which we just spoke about as well, going through and defining it how you like and showing it through that way. The photo retouching, and as you can see here, so when I pull this to the right, that's the standard photo that's coming out of the Matterport camera after our team's finished it up. So anyone that's ever done any photo retouching will see the differences there. So it's the color correction, it's the brightness, it's the grass and everything around that as well. The booking system, so being able to manage, as we just discussed, it's completely integrated into your current calendars, something that we didn't mention. So whether you use iCal, Google Calendar, or Outlook, they're all integrated within the system itself. And then obviously the analytics, which we gave you a quick snapshot of, but we're going a lot deeper in. I think it's day 5, if I'm not corrected. Yeah. And so yeah, that's our new homepage, and we've got a number of different sites. So I highly recommend checking it out.
Cool. Cool. If you could take it off screen share there. So Stephen, I just, you know, when I first looked at Captured, my reaction was, wow, this is like totally amazing. You are providing a Swiss Army knife solution, a content management system, a virtual assistant, a concierge service that's now taking place worldwide while all of us service providers sleep. And I think it really kind of gets summed up that if to be successful as a Matterport service provider, and if you're doing all the things that you need to be doing in terms of offering a one-page website and bringing everything together and creating a highlights reel, creating the snapshots, editing photos, editing either the snapshots or the DSLR images. As soon as you become busy, you almost reach a kind of this threshold that you can't move past because it's so time consuming. And yet your platform, the Captured platform, does all this for you. So I just think it's amazing. Congratulations. You must really, wake up every morning bouncing off the walls thinking like, this is really something exciting. I need to share it with every Matterport service provider because you can really help us scale our businesses by enabling outsourcing on demand.
Yeah.
And
thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah. And we're going to talk about pricing on Friday, but it's a de minimis amount of money for a successful Matterport service provider. I think that's probably a key takeaway. You can go check out the pricing. It's public on the Captured website. And I think you've made it super easy for somebody to get started in a no risk way. Can you just explain what that is, how do you get started with Captured?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're so confident that you're going to see the benefit out of what we can provide within your first few properties, that we provide all new signups with 5 free complete property packs. So a property pack includes everything that we've discussed today. It's the booking, the post-production, the virtual tour overlay, the one-page website, the floor plans, and everything included, all packaged up, delivered in analytics.
Except photo editing doesn't.
Photo editing at the moment. Yeah, except photo editing at the moment.
Okay, but everything else that we've discussed today is actually included in that property pack of that you just described, except editing the photos, which you can opt in to get that done. And I guess what you're trying to do is reduce friction to make it super easy to simply test, try, Captured, knowing that a photographer that is using your platform, by the time you do it 5 times, you're going to say, how am I going to live without this?
It's exactly right.
Didn't know it existed. Now, how do I live without it? And then Captured has been kind enough to offer for We Get Around Network Forum members a 6th property pack at no charge. Thank you. So if you simply, this is for our viewers, if you go to the We Get Around Network Forum and join the forum, WGAN-Forum.com. It's totally free to join the forum. You are automatically eligible to receive 1 additional property pack at no charge. So you get 6 property packs free instead of 5. So 6 free, simply for being a member of the We Get Around Network Forum. And when you join, you automatically receive an email with 50 plus membership benefits from me. And one of them is this additional free Captured property pack. And then for WGAN paid members, our basic, standard, and premium members, we have yet an additional offer. You can see that in the Welcome On Board letter for our paid members. So I think that's really terrific. And then again, I know we're going to talk about pricing on Friday, but I think just to point out that you do offer an a la carte plan, so that if you just want so you go past the 5 and you just want to do 1 more space, you don't even need to make a monthly commitment. You can just pay a la carte, pay as you go, 1 model at a time.
Yeah, and a lot of this has been driven by us being in a lot of the positions that these photographers have been in before. Some months are quite busy, the next month might not be. So it's not a really viable option to have a fixed subscription based on amounts. We do have those subscriptions there for the larger companies that do have more structure in the content they're creating. But for photographers that are I guess a little bit comes in waves with a few of the different tours and bookings that they have. Everything that we've discussed can be bought as an individual item or as a group.
So pay as you go. So again, We Get Around Network Forum members, 6 free property websites. Definitely should try it out. If you're watching this, maybe you're watching this WGAN TV Live at 5 on our YouTube channel. You haven't been to the We Get Around Network Forum, join us. It's free. We've been writing a lot about Captured. Every time we do, we tag that post with Captured, CAPTUR3D, Captured. So it's super easy to find all the content that we've been writing about Captured and all the different features and the benefits, all in the We Get Around Network Forum. And if you have questions about Captured, you can post those questions in the forum, and a member of Stephen's team will answer your questions in the forum. If I haven't answered, I usually tend to take the easier questions and just answer them myself. So again, we have a great week for you, all week. Captured training for Matterport service providers. On part 2, Stephen's going to take us through the back end of features in the content management system. On part 3, again, we'll take us through more back end features of the Captured platform. On part 4, on day 4, Stephen's going to take us through the booking and scheduling features of the Captured platform. And then on Friday, I think that'll kind of be a catch up, anything that we haven't previously covered. If you do have questions, you can certainly either email or private message me the questions, or if you want to be on the show and ask Stephen questions directly, you can do that as well. You know, and it may even be just to point this out, it may be a misnomer to talk about Captured Training Week, because frankly, Captured actually does everything for you. So there really is not all that much to learn. It is pretty straightforward, but we thought we would do training every day so you can see the back end of Captured, and Stephen's just going to take us through. This is how you do it. So I encourage you to stay with us. Stephen, before we wrap up, anything else to cover in an overview for today?
Not for me. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the week and spending the time with you, Dan. And thank you again for letting us on. And thank you again for all the work that you're doing for the Matterport service providers and all other 360 captures out there.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate it. You've been watching WGAN TV Live at 5 all this week, Captured Training Week for Matterport service providers. We've been recording today's show as we do all our shows. We will post it in the We Get Around Network Forum tomorrow, Tuesday, August 13th, 2019. So if you missed any portion of the show, it's available then. Stephen in Melbourne, Dan in Atlanta. Thanks again for tuning in to WGAN TV Live at 5.
Thanks, guys.